We continue working to keep you connected to Congress. Senator Rob Portman joins us live from Washington, D.C. right now. Good afternoon, Senator.
Hey, Paula, how are you?
Just fine. As you know, here at Local 12, we have a project. We are trying to get a handle on why so many children in this area are living in poverty. And one of our viewers on Facebook today, Rhonda Wirtz, said, why not support a living wage? I assume she's talking about raising the minimum wage. And if not that, let me tell you, we talked to an economist who said maybe people do their taxes and at the end they get a subsidy from the government that raises them out of poverty based on their family size. Would those ideas work?
Yeah, I think those are some interesting ideas. One of the things that I think is important is that the earned income tax credit be improved. So there is policy in place already. You know, if people are working, they can get a credit that is a refundable credit, meaning even if they don't have any taxes due, they can get that credit, so it helps them to be able to make ends meet. That's an important part of the, the overall safety net. The most important thing, Paul, of course, is a growing economy. Without a growing economy, it's very difficult to get people out of poverty. Unfortunately, poverty rates have gone up as we're living through this historically weak recovery since the recession. So first is a growing economy, but then for people that fall between the cracks, we need to be sure that there's an earned income tax credit. We need to be sure there's other refundable tax credits, including the child tax credit. And then we need to be sure that we're dealing with some of the underlying causes of poverty. And those include some of the issues that I saw at Lighthouse, where I was with one of your cameramen last week. Helping homeless children. We have legislation to do that. We think we have an effective way to get more homeless kids into the kind of independent living that Lighthouse provides. And then also, we need to do more in terms of this drug issue. As you know, so much of the issue of homelessness and crime is driven by this broader issue of drug abuse and addiction.
The Senate passed a cybersecurity measure yesterday. You had a lot of input in that in terms of helping businesses hire some cybersecurity experts. What can you say to the American people about how secure we are? There have been some books out recently that are very alarming, that our whole electrical grid is going to get, not a matter of if, but when we're going to get hit, wiping out the electric pumping stations for water. How secure do you feel?
Well, I think you're right. I think what the military experts will tell you is the new war is a war in cyberspace. And if we don't do a better job of protecting ourselves, I think we are going to be very vulnerable. So this legislation is a first good step in that. I did get legislation included in it to help develop the cyber workforce, because as you know, one of the problems we're facing right now in government and in the private sector is we're being attacked by other countries, and some of their expertise in terms of cyber is a real problem if we don't have the experts to respond to it. Attracting those kind of people into the federal government is a challenge sometimes, so part of what we're doing is creating the incentives to get better, higher skilled people into government and in the private sector to be able to respond to these cyber attacks, both on the defense and on the offense.
House Republicans today made a move to start an impeachment process against the head of the IRS. What do you think the outcome of this might be when the Justice Department had an investigation that came up with no criminal charges?
Yeah, I doubt it can be successful for that reason, but also because you have to get a two-thirds vote, as you know, in the Senate. I do think that the IRS has to have accountability. We had a hearing yesterday with the commissioner, and I listed for him 4 or 5 areas where the IRS has not had consequences that follow, whether it's targeting conservative groups or whether it's withholding information from court cases. They have to have consequences. They have to fire people. They have to actually show the people at the IRS that if they don't follow the rules, if they are not an agency that can be trusted because they are being political rather than objective, that there will be consequences. And I think that's really important. I do believe that the IRS needs to have adequate funding to be able to provide taxpayer service to the folks I represent in Ohio. That's one of the problems right now with our complicated tax code. They don't have the resources they need to be able to help people who are trying to pay their taxes. But I don't think that's going to happen until they show that they are a more accountable agency. And with accountability, there has to be consequences when people do something really wrong.
They're giving me the big rap, but this is a yes or no. On Tuesday, issue 3 in Ohio, legalizing pot. Yes or no?
Bad idea. Bad idea for our kids because that sends the wrong message. Bad idea because of the monopoly that it sets up, which is the wrong way to go about it, even if you did support legalization. So I hope issue 3 goes down. It's a state issue, not a federal issue, but I do a lot of work on the anti-drug area. We need to send the right message to our kids, which is this is dangerous and it's a bad way to go.
Senator, thank you for joining us this afternoon. And to all our viewers, thanks for
Paula.
chiming in on Facebook. We're going to post the entire interview at local12.com.
And we'll be right back.